Hey fellow explorers, today we're going to be tackling one of the most frequently asked questions I get about luggage, and that is, should you stick with a classic zippered suitcase or should you upgrade to a more modern zipperless design? And for this video, I've got two special guests joining me. I've got the Level 8 Voyager suitcase with the zipper, and I've got the Level 8 Captain suitcase with the latches. And in this video, I'm going to go through the pros and cons of each, let you know which design is best for you. Thanks so much to Level 8 for sponsoring this video. They're having their anniversary sale here in July of 2025. And if you use code PREAS20 before July 20th, you'll get 20% off their whole site. Definitely check out that description below for the link to get you there and the code. All right, so let's get on to the pros and cons. The first area I want to talk about is just ease of use and ease of opening. So we're gonna first start with Team Zippered right here. And zippered suitcases, everybody knows how to use them because everybody's used zippers. You use them on jackets, you use them in a lot of places, and so you just kind of find the zippers, you slide them around. Chris, why are you telling me how to open a zippered suitcase? Well, it can take a little while to find the zippers. Where are they on the suitcase? Right here, like some of the, I call like more higher end zippered suitcases will give you a spot that have a TSA lock that you can lock them in. You definitely want to lock in your zippers because that's one of the most frequently broken pieces on suitcases are the zippers, especially if they dangle around like this. What you should never do is you should never like stick your zippers right here on a corner like that. That is just asking for them to be broken. But if you're opening and closing your suitcase a lot, you know, zippers, they take a little while to unzip it like that and then open it. A zipperless design, one that has latches like this. Use a couple different ways that these open. On this Captain suitcase, the way these open, there's two little things in there. You push them and then it opens right up. Same thing to close it, super easy. You don't have to find the zippers and jiggle them around. You just, like that, and it's closed. Open like this, closed like that. Can you do it with one hand? Yeah, you can do one latch with the other, one latch with the other. Some suitcases with latches, they'll have the little things on the latches themselves. This just has two latches. I've seen some latch suitcases with up to 5 different latches, but I personally find these things to be easier to open and close because they're just quicker and two things. The one thing you do have to be aware of in opening and closing is like getting stuff stuck in the zippers. So, you know, if you've got a zippered suitcase like this one, obviously, and you got like something hanging out like this, it's not gonna close all the way because it's gonna get stuck. And if it's a piece of fabric, it's not a big deal because you figure that out. It really becomes a drag when it's a plastic bag or something like that and it gets stuck in the actual zipper latch suitcase. But it's easy to find where that is, right? Because your zipper stops and you figure that out and you push it in and then you keep going. It can be a little bit more challenging or harder to figure out where it is in your suitcase with latches, but same deal. If something's hanging out like this, it's not really gonna close and you're gonna need to figure out like what, it just won't close because it's not this. So you gotta kind of look around if it doesn't close and figure out where that thing actually is. OC girl has a hard time with this, my wife, because she can never figure out where that thing is. I tend to just look at all the edges and close it and find it quick. The final thing to note about opening and closing for zippers or zipperless suitcases, if you're a chronic overpacker, zippers might be better because if it's full of stuff, it's easier for you to kind of like force it down and like move the zipper around. If you've got a lot of stuff in it, you might need more force to do the latches because you've really got to like push this thing down if it's full and then put the latches in. But if you don't pack your luggage all that full like me, not a big deal. All right, number 2, let's talk about durability. Which one's more durable? Well, I sort of already told you that the zippers are the most common thing to break on suitcases, zippers, and of course, wheels. Those break a lot too, because they're the most exposed things. Definitely having a zippered suitcase that has a place that you can stick them in makes them a lot less prone to breaking, but they are still exposed. When they do break, it's usually not a catastrophic failure because like a pole comes off, you can still move it around, but I have had a ton of zippers break on my suitcases. Latches, on the other hand, much more sturdy. And generally, by the time you get a suitcase with latches on, the suitcase itself is going to be sturdier. This suitcase is actually made of aluminum. They typically have an aluminum frame to put those things on there. So if you want the sturdiest suitcase and the least prone to breakage, definitely get the Zipperless design. So the third thing I want to talk about is packing flexibility. And for this segment, I had to bring a special guest, the Level 8 Grace carry-on, because of the flexibility this one has with the zippers. But what you can get when you get zipper suitcases, you can get ones that expand. So on this one, you see it has two kind of zipper tracks here. One is the zipper that like opens it through here. This is the zipper that opens the actual suitcase that you go inside. And then the track right next to it, this one just has one zipper on it, and this one is the expansion. So you unzip the expansion zipper, and now all of a sudden you get 1.5 inches more of packing. So if you're a chronic overpacker, you get yourself 1.5 inches like this. Although when you do that, it often makes the suitcase too big for you to like put in an overhead of an airplane, so beware. And if you get zippered suitcases, then you can also get things like front pockets like you get on this one. You are generally not going to find that on suitcases with latches, because just the design of latches is they become these 50-50 clamshell kind of things. That's what they call this. And so when you open a suitcase like this, it takes a lot of space because you always have to open the whole thing, where you can get some of the zipper designs that just open from the top and don't take up as much space in your hotel room. If you're staying in small hotel rooms, that might be a consideration for you. Hey, you know, fellow explorers, the challenge of filming outside is there's outside noise. I'm here in San Diego's Mission Bay, and they decided now during my luggage review was a great time to cut the grass. I'm glad they're keeping the grass nice and green. All right, I'll get some hydration while they're cutting the grass. I think they've moved now, so it should be quiet. Fourth point to discuss between Team Zippered and Zipperless is weather resistance. And if you're going someplace wet, you'll want to pay attention to this. Zippers always have some fabric that connects the zippers. Even though this is a hard shell suitcase, it's got plastic on the outside, it's got fabric where the actual zipper meets the hard case. And that fabric is a place where water can get in. If you pour water right on there, the water can actually seep into that fabric. But suitcases that have latches, they have a rubber gasket that runs up and down there. And so if you pour water on a suitcase like this, it just runs right off. Now, if you're carrying on and you've got your suitcase always with you, maybe not a big deal. But if you're going someplace that you're checking your suitcase in, you're going someplace that's wet, you're going someplace that rains a lot as they're checking in your luggage and putting it on the plane, this can be a big deal. One time, I was flying to France, connecting through Washington Dulles International Airport, and I had a zippered suitcase. It was, in fact, a nylon suitcase, so it was all fabric, and my suitcase got stuck outside as they were loading it. They called a ground stop because of a thunderstorm. Thunder, lightning came, rain, and then they call all the people to go in, and they leave all the luggage out there. And because I had a fabric suitcase with zippers, the whole thing was fabric, the whole thing, it was absolutely soaked. All my clothes inside were soaked. I mean, it was absolutely awful. So that's one of the reasons I prefer Team Zipperless, because no water's getting inside this thing. I mean, maybe if I tossed it in the bay, that's not gonna prevent it. But certainly, pretty much any big rain or this and that, your stuff inside this one gonna be dry. All right, point 5 in the debate between Team Zipper and Zipperless is gonna be about the weight and the extra durability that comes with latches comes with extra weight. So if you want the absolute lightest suitcase, pick up the zippers. I find general suitcases that have latches are probably a pound or two heavier than their brothers that have the zippers. But if you're like me and you travel on the big American carriers, American, United, Delta, particularly for carry-ons, they don't weigh them like ever, and so the weight might not matter to you. All right, and point number 6 here on the great debate, now that I've made my puddle here on the table, is gonna be about price. And if you're looking for the cheapest, least expensive suitcase, it's definitely gonna be Team Zippered. Zippers come in every price point from budget to ultra luxury. If you're getting into Team Zipperless with the latches, then you're gonna be paying a little bit more. The construction, there's a little bit more construction. The mechanics of these latches are more than the zippers, so you will find generally latches on suitcases that are more geared to the premium market and generally won't find these in the budget offering. So now the question is, which one is for you? Should you join Team Zippered or should you join Team Zipperless? Well, if you are the budget conscious traveler, if you want the lightest suitcase possible, you are an overpacker, definitely Team Zippered is the way to go. If you are a tech nomad that the security of your belongings is utmost, you want it to be sturdy, you want it to be safe, and you want it to be proof from the elements, definitely go for Team Zipperless. Well, fellow explorers, if you want to dive further into either of these suitcases, I've got review videos up here in the corner where you can get a review of the Voyager, you can get a review of the Captain, and if you buy them now through July 20th, you can get that 20% off with the link in the description and the code that you'll find right down there. But fellow explorers, that's my opinion. What's yours? Are you on Team Zippered or are you on Team Zipperless? All right, fellow explorers, as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in the next video.